Greetings, onesies. This is Josh Williams, and I wanted to take a second to say thank you for clicking on this episode of the One Man Podcast. Whether it's your first time listening or 100th, I appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me in your ears. And just a reminder that every single episode is available for free at onemanpodcast.com, but you can also go to whatever your favorite streaming platform is, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, whatever it is, we are there. There's also a social media account on Instagram. It's just One Man Podcast. Get a little extra content for yourself. Sometimes I post pictures about the stuff that I'm talking about on the episode. You're also welcome to send an email to contact@onemanpodcast.com. Whatever you send, I read it on the episode. So love hearing from you guys. And just want to say one more time, thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. It really does mean the world to me. And I hope you enjoy this episode.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Demers.
I'm K. Trevor Wilson.
Hey, it's Krista Allen.
Hi, this is Rick Mercier.
What's up, guys? This is Paul Verzi, and you are listening to the One Man Podcast. Yeah!
My name is Josh Williams, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 447 for Wednesday, November 26, 2025. How's it going, onesies? It's been a minute, hasn't it? First episode in God knows how long. I am coming to you live from my new place, my life in 2025. And geez, well, okay, let's just start off with, maybe this is your first time coming on my podcast. Hey, I haven't met this guy, Josh. What's his new, what is this thing? He told me he had a podcast. I clicked on it. Because it's pretty much the only way I'm getting new listeners at this point. After a year and a half of inactivity, it'd be very easy to look at it and go, this thing's not happening anymore. No, I'm still here, still living life, just been crazy busy, right? Just like everybody else with excuses of why they're not doing the thing they should be doing for the ones they love. I've just been busy. But I will fill you guys in on all of that stuff. Not this episode. I have about an inch and a half stack of One Man Podcast notes from episodes that have come, never come into existence, but those weeks have come and gone. It is my goal, as I said a very long time ago, hoping to be caught up on the podcast by the time I get to episode number 500. And I've done a lot in the last while to make myself a workspace, a studio, and again, over time, I will go back and I'll fill you guys in on all that stuff. But for anyone coming in brand new, hot, this is a one-man podcast. It's me, comedian, brand ambassador, earthling, Josh Williams, telling you what's going on with me personally, professionally, and everything in between. Just about anything that I want to come up with, and then come up with it. I lived it. Anything I want to get off my chest, let's say it that way, in my life. This is my public journal. And I want to this is what we're going to be talking about. All right. We're going to be talking about a buddy of mine who did stand up for the first time. I did a Saturday night show at Absolute Impromptu. I watched some stuff. Of course, I'm still watching things. And then I'll try to give you guys just a couple little anecdotes, things that are going on here. I'm going to tell you what I bought for Black Friday. Yeah. And then we'll ride off into the sunset. We won't make it too long. First things first, I want to give a big shout out because I have been for the last few weeks being like, I can get the podcast done this week, but I've forgotten to print out the notes. And then, come Tuesday morning, which is what's happening right now. I'm recording on Tuesday morning. I wanted to get some stuff out, but then I'd get late in the day. My life is really crazy right now. It truly is. And for whatever reason, stand-up's really picking up out of nowhere because I've been neglecting that too. Just for the record, it's not like I'm like, you know what? Fuck the onesies. Oh no. I know that you guys are still out there and I still have people going, hey, I found your podcast online. They'll listen to an episode. I got the last episode that I published was on January 29th, 2025. How about that? That was a while back. We are now in November. So sorry, neglectorinos, but I want to give a big shout out to Laura in New Jersey because she sent me an email a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, and was just like, hey, just checking in. How you doing? I missed your podcast. And that was the last little shot in the arm that I'm like, people are still out there. People are still wondering what's going on. And is this thing over? No, it's not over. I will not quit on this podcast. I will not. There's too much history and stuff to just give it up, but I'm here, gang. And let's just see how long I can keep it going for this time. Cause there's been a few little stints. I can tell just by scrolling at this that like from episode 4, 399. 399. So from 399 all the way to 404, we're seemingly consistent. I don't know what the hell I had going on right for me then, but it would appear that I was just on it. Hey, how about that? So anyways, we're going to get this thing going. So just again, thank you, Laura, for your email. I'm glad that you're still listening. Very, very sweet of you to reach out. Also, happy Black Friday for anyone who did that. And I do want to give a shout out to Dave. I don't really say anybody's last names or anything. Not that I even know his, but I do know where he works. I met him. He was very helpful for me acquiring some new tech. So if he's listening, I know where he is, wearing his white mask, I assume. Probably not at home while listening, but just to give him a little nod. Appreciate the listens. And yeah, so those are the shout outs. Where do I even start in this thing? Where do I even start in this crazy week? Right? You guys want to know, here's something funny? I just wrote it down because it's been something that's been on my to-do list for a very long time, and I just haven't done it. I hung my GED here in my office studio space. Now, the reason that I think that's I'm laughing because I got my GED, no big deal, but no, I got my GED forever ago. But the reason I got it was because when I was around 18 or 19, I started my electrical apprenticeship. So I started working with the electrician that we had hired to work at my mother's place. And here's something everybody missed. Coffee. Coffee will be a big theme of this episode, by the way. I got my GED because in order to start my electrical apprenticeship, I had to have a high school diploma. And I remember, so I was working with the electrician that we had hired to work at my mom's place. I'd worked with him for a few days purely. I don't know if I've ever told you the story, and I apologize if I have, but I'll make it quick. My mom had bought her first house ever. We had to get the whole place rewired for insurance. And, we didn't have a lot of money. So we didn't have any money. It all went into buying the house, right? So all the upgrades and everything were like, oh shit, this is going to be expensive. So we hired an electrician. It was only going to be for a few days because this house was very small, story and a half place. And all I was thinking was well, if we're paying this guy by the hour, which we were, I'm like, any way I can help him, if I can pull the other end of wire or go grab him tools or anything that makes his life easier, that saves us money, right? He's done faster, whatever. So I worked with him for a few days. And after those, it was literally 2-3 days of work. But after those few days, he was like, hey, my son's, injured and can't work with me right now. He's like, would you be interested in coming to work for me? And I was like, yeah, I was actually unemployed at the time. I had quit. Did I quit? No, I think I was working at the Westin Hotel and I got fired. And I really can't remember why. A lot of places I remember why I got fired. I don't remember why I got fired from the Westin. Sincerely. I really don't know. I don't know I don't think I was late all the time. And I never mouthed off at anybody. That was never my thing. But yeah, anyways, lost job. My mom just bought this house. So I was like, I'll move home and I'll help her work on it or whatever. But anyway, so I got offered a job at the perfect time. In fact, several times in my life, I seem to have been offered a job at the perfect time. So he offered me a job. I started doing my electrical apprenticeship and I started working with him and he was logging all my hours and everything like that. And then it was like, hey, you should really get registered for the apprenticeship program. But in order to do that, I had to have my high school. I didn't. So I got to work on, my GED, and my dad actually got me the book and the study quiz stuff or whatever it is. And I got to tell you, it was not particularly hard. I went and I wrote it at some random school, on a Saturday, and it was 4 or 5 hours, or whatever. But I wrote it. I passed, they sent me the diploma, whatever. And funny enough, now I don't know if I would call them scholarships or grants, but I think my average, I think my score on my GED was 97 or 98. And I guess because I had scored so high, they had there was at least, I would say I remember at least 3 different scholarship or grant money. It was hey, if you're going to go to university or college, we'd like to offer you blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a ton. It wasn't $50,000, but it was if I was going to go to a college or something, it was $5,000 if you want to, we'll put $5,000 towards your da 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 da. It was just, I guess it's just to encourage people who have the potential to see it through. Again, I would imagine you have to score particularly high on your GED for them to be no, don't waste this. And I dropped out of high school after grade 11 and I had taken all advanced courses. So I was there was a grade 13 at the time. So for me, it was almost half left to go. And by then I'd already been working jobs and things like that. And I'm you know what? I think I'm good. I think I've learned what I need to learn. I'm already working. What's the point? And then like every young person often finds out, it's like, oh, you don't know everything. School is important. You understand the value of that piece of paper. But having said all that, when I got my GED and when I got these offers, well, I was already working towards my electrical apprenticeship, right? That's what I was trying to do. And everybody was like, oh man, electricians make so much money. Like, this is great. You know how long it takes guys like on the waiting list to get paired up with like a master. And there's like rules like that, right? You got to do your apprenticeship for 5 years. And then after you have after you got your license, then you have to have your license for like 5 years before you can, get your master license or whatever the hell it is. And then you can't have an apprentice of your own if you're not a master, and every master can only have one apprentice at a time, blah, blah, blah. So it's all these different things. Like it's basically years and years and years before you start making all that big money. And then big money is still not huge money. I'm also referencing like right around the 2000s. So I mean, I don't know how much it's changed in the last 25 years. But for me, it was like, I think I did that job for about 4 years, and it was maybe 2-3 years before it was like, hey, let's get you registered because you've been working with me for years and you're not moving forward. I was like, all right. So we tried to start getting me registered. I think, it's got to be like the 3-year mark because I didn't do the electrical forever, but it really wasn't for me. It really, really was not for me. Like, electrical work is very like regulated, which, it should be for safety reasons, but it's very regular. There's only certain ways to do certain things and all your work's covered. Like, you're not the carpenter or the contractor who's doing all the framing and the molding and like nobody sees your work when it's done. Right. So as a creative, it's not like that's the kind of thing that you can take a whole ton of creative liberties. In fact, sometimes you can get pretty creative in making something work that shouldn't have worked and to code and all that stuff. But again, nobody will ever see it or know it. And even if they did, they wouldn't understand it. It's like me watching UFC. Like, everyone else was like, oh, look at the technical, this, that, whatever. I'm like, I see 2 guys in their underpants hugging on the ground. Like, that's what I see. Right. So as technical or as intricate as something might be, that's not this is also like when I was 20, right? At this point in my life, I had never even entertained the idea of being a comedian. For first timers, this coffee slurping thing is a thing. I don't think I ever meant it to be, but that's like a staple of the podcast now. Where it's like, oh, you hear you slurping your coffee. So, anyways, I by the time I had gotten my GED and we had started the process of me registering, I think that like the first in classes thing was like for like the following year in the fall. And I had actually stopped working as an electrician before I ever started doing the schooling part of it. So I learned a ton from field, right? Whereas like, and I remember too, I think my boss had pushed back like the first class grouping because we had like a huge rewire job already booked for that. So when you're in class, like you'll do like 2-3 weeks at a time where you're just every single day in class or whatever. And my boss is like, yeah, we can't do it that first group. So we'll have to do it like next September. And I just wasn't happy. I actually, funny enough, it's probably the job that I'd worked the longest, up until that point. Cause everything else was like work it for a year and then, unbeknownst to me, self-sabotage and get myself fired. I probably talked about this before. There's a lot of people who, you can't quit your job. You can't go home. If you're living at home, you can't go, hey, I quit my job today. Your folks be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And you can't, or same thing, family, wife, kids, whatever it is. Like, you can't quit your job. You need a job. You need an income, right? But when people become unhappy, they start to self-sabotage and, essentially get themselves fired. So it's like, well, I didn't choose to do this. I was fired, And I would definitely say that was me. And the more unhappy I became with the place, I love learning. So my first year doing electrical and stuff was fun. And because I've learned that skill set, I'll very likely never pay an electrician to do work, for the majority of my life. Again, unless I'm crazy busy and I'm having a house built or something, fingers crossed, knock on wood. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but anyways, long story short is I quit that job and that's when I went to go work at Future Shop. I was excited about that. I think I got the job before I quit. So they were like, yeah, we'll hire you. And I was like, all right, give my notice, whatever it is. So I never made it into the classes or anything like that. But it's funny because maybe going back now, I would have been like, oh, You know, you know what, that Josh would not have known what he wanted to do with his future. So despite the little GED scholarship offerings, I wouldn't have known what I wanted to do. And I probably still wouldn't have been a good student then. Too distractible, whatnot. But having said all that, got my GED. My mom gave me, it wasn't a gift or anything like that. It was just like she had an old frame that fit it. So I put it in that, and it was like, you know, it had like metal, like gold metal frame, and it wasn't fancy. It was like, you know, just like a squared off IKEA sort of gold frame, you know, and then with like a blue insert. I don't know what you call that thing, like the internal frame where it, you know, it's just a giant border. Yeah, let's call it the border. Anyways, that was blue, and then he had the white GED underneath it. Well, you know, I had a joke in my act fucking 17 years ago or however long it was, right when I was right around the time I was first starting and first dating my ex. And I had this joke because when her and I moved in together for the very first time, you know, I was like, hey, where are we going to hang my GED? Right. And she was like, that's not going up anywhere. She's like, I'm not putting that up anywhere. And I was like, why not? Like, just curious. I was joking. I was like, why not? She's like, goes, that's embarrassing. You know, at the time I thought it was funny because I didn't disagree. It's not embarrassing, but it's certainly not like, I don't know how to describe the GED because you still went back and finished something, right? Like you still took a test, you still passed. Instead of just dropping out and leaving it behind, like it does sort of bookend the I guess the high school credentials, credibility, whatever it is. You know, your boy's not trying to be a doctor out there, but I don't know. Anyways, what was funny was like over the year, like, yeah, she's like, yeah, it's not going up on anything. And then I turned it into a joke. I'm like, if you think that's embarrassing, like you should see non-GED credentials, and I'll spare you guys telling the bit, but it got me laughs for years. So the GED, I just kind of had it moving around. And I remember like at one point during one of my many moves in the last 17 years, I guess the frame broke and it was glass underneath, right? So it was like, I think the frame broke and the glass was cracked. So I took all the stuff out, but the actual paper GED, and then it entered into, I'm pretty good at taking care of documents, but somewhere along the line, it got wet. So part of it in one corner is like crinkled, you know, just didn't dry straight. And then again, I don't have papers laying around or whatever, but for some reason there's like a coffee stain on it too. So I think it's really funny because I got a frame for it, you know, with a border and everything like that. Just a regular IKEA one. But I think it's hilarious that it's like, I've got it up on the wall in the office and it's got a crinkled corner and a coffee stain on it. Like it was dragged out of the trash, but it's the real thing. It's my GED from fucking 20 some odd, 25 years at least. So I think, can I do basic math? 42, 18. When I got it probably when I was 20, 21. So yeah, 25 ish, you know. More 25 than 20. Doesn't matter. No one's going to go, you better be fucking accurate. Oh, there's a date right on it. Okay. October 28th, 2004. So, 20. Yeah. Either way, that was 4 years before Iron Man, huh? We've gone on quite the journey since. Anyways, I wrote down, I hung my GED. I think it's funny. That's the note here. And I just spent almost 20 minutes talking about it. So that's how it must feel to all the people when they're like, all right, Josh, we're doing a presentation. Keep it to under. Anyways, I got this piece of paper that has been in a stack of other papers that need attention of some kind or another, you know, to go up. I also have my certificate from my CanCell. That was infinitely more recent. They don't give you a card anymore. Your SmartServe, they'll send you a PDF that you can print and cut out. They used to send you a physical card for alcohol. And the cannabis cell certificate is just something you can print. Well, I got a laminator now. I can laminate it and that'll at least protect it, right? Could have laminated my GED, but I mean, I only had it for a year. Might as well put it in a frame. Anyways, I think it's funny. And I did that. That's something that for years and years and years, it's needed to get a new frame. Again, I didn't really have any intention of putting it up. And I think it was only once I saw, like, you don't throw something like that away, but I don't think you do, right? You're not ashamed of it. It's not a negative pregnancy test where you're like, man, this could have been important, but I'm never going to use it. So I don't know, but the crinkle and the coffee stain made it funny to me. And I'm like, and then to frame that and put it up, it just seems so incredibly Josh, you know? So it's up there now. I got the frame, I put it up, and I'm a motherfucking high school graduate equivalent. What else do we want to talk about, guys? You know? You always have the option to steer the conversation in these episodes, by the way, by sending an email to contact@onemanpodcast.com. You send the email, I read it on the show. That's the fucking deal. That's always been the deal. That will always be the deal. Now, I do have emails sent to me from you guys that have not been read because when you sent the email, there was no episode recorded and I didn't do it. So just know those emails all have flags next to them in the box. They will be put onto the appropriate episode when I get to it. And I'll even try to go back to those episodes and deal with them, you know, sooner rather than later, because again, now that everything that's missing will be a retrospective, there's no real urgency to get one done in a different order than another. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to focus on the ones that you guys got. I guess in terms of just a quick little, I'll give you guys a little life update before I talk about some of the more unimportant things like what shows I watched and things like that. Life's good. Like I'm not in great shape or anything like that, but life is good in the sense that, I'm not as stressed out about where work is going to come from. Like I have a salaried 9-to-5 job and I really love it. I love the people that I work for, everything like that. And I'm really hoping that in the future I can sit down and do some podcast episodes with these guys, because I think that getting to know the owners and founders of my company just adds to just the whole vibe of like what I do. Like if I didn't like these guys so much, I probably couldn't do the gig. Here's the thing. I like the product and I like the people behind it, and they're passionate about what they do. And I can always gravitate towards people who are passionate than just people who are after money. Now everyone gets into business, you know, to make money. But at the end of the day, if you really give a shit about what you make, then it makes a difference. You know, that resonates with your consumers. So I'm having a good time with work. It does keep me busy and it can be stressful at times because there's always more work to do than people to do it. But, you know, nobody puts a foot on our neck. Like, you know, no one's telling us we're not doing enough, which is nice. But, you know, and then the effort is there, right? So I've been working a lot. It's tough to talk about certain work things because this podcast is supposed to be about my life and my week. And a lot of my week is going to the LCBO stores, going to agency stores that have licenses to sell alcohol, you know, kind of like an LCBO outlet sort of thing, but they're not owned by the government. Then there's the grocery stores and the convenience stores, and all of that's been new in Ontario, you know, all these different channels selling alcohol, visiting bars, restaurants, golf courses, things like that. And some of this stuff I can talk about. It's fun. There's many, many people that I absolutely adore and think are phenomenal. Talking about the LCBO itself, like those stores, I don't think I can do that. And I'll explain. So the LCBO, I have learned a lot about it since working at Founders. And there's some incredible managers, there's some incredible staff that are like just absolutely amazing human beings. Fun, funny, like organized, coordinated, strategic, analytical. And they make my life so much easier. Just in the sense that they tried our stuff. They know it's good. When they bring it in, they put it somewhere where it has a chance to succeed. Naturally, you know, people gravitate towards it. It does well. And it makes my life easy. Like they're just amazing human beings that, you know, I adore. A lot of them I have on Facebook and, you know, Facebook or Instagram or whatever socials. And I like having them there because they get a chance to see who I really am as a comic and as a person and all this stuff, because they're in a lot of them are in a shitty position where they're inundated with reps, and a lot of sales guys just come in and go, gimme, gimme, gimme. I want all the space. I want all the room. You know, stores are limited by, you know, how much they can bring in. So, you know, in the RTD, ready to drink, right? Your coolers, your cocktails, that kind of thing, seltzers, you know, they'll only have so many different SKUs, you know, / products that they can have at any given time. And of course, everybody wants to make that cut. We don't have a lot of stuff, and I don't expect every single store to carry every single SKU, but a lot of them just, again, like they know our stuff's good. They give it a chance, you know, and if something's not working, they're willing to try to see if we can try something different to make it work. And then if not, I'm accountable and I can get it out of there. But there's a lot of people doing it for a very long time. There's a lot of turnover with reps because they just come in and they make promises they can't keep to hit whatever quotas or targets they've been given. And the store managers just get used to the whole, okay, whatever, let's, hey, well, I'll do this if you didn't. You're like, all right, buddy, whatever. Like a lot of it's just very, very dismissive. There's a lot of immediate excuses that as soon as I go into the store, they go, oh, I'm this or I'm that. I can't do this because of this. It's like, right away, they're just brushing you off. And there's not a whole lot you can do besides just say straight up, like, what's the real reason? But I also learned that when you're new, a lot of managers don't really want to talk to you because they're like, you're new, why am I going to get to know you? You're just going to be gone in a little bit of time. So I'm at the point now where I'm getting close to 2 years and a lot, all my stores kind of know, okay, he's staying. He's not gone after 3 months. It's not a flash in the pan. He's the founder's original rep for this area, and I'm very, very fortunate that my relationships with a lot of these, managers and stores is getting better. Some of the stores, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm not going to shout out the ones I love because, that would just make everyone else who isn't on that list maybe feel shitty. Or that, and I have 600 and some odd stores. No, I don't. I have 200 and some odd LCBO stores. So it's very difficult to remember every single one of them and whatnot. Not that stuff's even interesting to you guys, but there's a lot of like back end stuff, a lot of top down shit that's kind of ugly. It's internal politics and things like that. And it's some of it's just fucking gross. But the thing is, like, and it's funny too, because a lot of people are like, oh, you could take this and talk about it on stage. Like you trash the LCBO on stage. I'm like, well, that would be really stupid of me to do because, go ahead and become the guy that trashes the LCBO. I wouldn't be welcomed in any stores. And if I can't go in the stores, can't do my job, I lose my job. So I just want you guys to know. And again, putting it like, it's like, oh, but you're just talking about it on your podcast. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I lost my job at Air Canada after 2.5 days just for having a podcast. Right. So I think I'm just going to say like my job has, like everybody else's stuff. There's gonna be stuff I can talk about, stuff I can't. So when I have a great, visit with a store or whatever during a week, if something's funny or whatever happens, I can share that particular stuff. I just can't, like if I'm going to have bad weeks where there's incredibly frustrating stuff happening. And it's more just like the ins and outs of my job. I don't think it's particularly interesting to you guys, but I just wanted to say that in all these episodes that are missing where I'm going to go back or whatever, like I might have had a 60-hour work week and there isn't anything interesting or that I could really talk about. Like, trust me, some of these negative interactions with managers that I have, I'd love to tell you guys about it just because it's funny. A lot of them don't know I'm a comedian. And so when they get like, sometimes they get like they get their back up and I don't go in aggressive. I'm a nice, sweet boy. I go in so sweet and so handsome, so sweet and handsome and nice boy that I'm very respectful when I go in. I always treat myself like I'm a guest in their home. But some of them just, they're just angry all the time. And I like, if it was a friend or someone on the street, I'd just be like, are you okay? Like what? I just go, what's going on? Like what happened today? I go like, there's no way that all of this is me coming in and say, hey, can I talk to you about one of our SKUs? Right? There's no way that this is not a punishment fits the crime. I would just go like, are you like somebody pissed you off? Are you doing okay? I go, totally. I'm not taking this personally. I just want to know, like, are you all right? You want to blow out the lines? I can be an ear judgment free, but you can't talk to them that way because you're basically saying, why are you acting like an asshole? And it's even worked on Jason a few times. My, the old Absolute Comedy angry Jason, just going like, and Jason's mad all the time. I just like, sometimes he's giving me shit about something. I'm like, what's going on, dude? I'm like, are you okay? I go, this is not all because of this. I go, what's eating you up right now? Get that off your chest. And then let's talk about this. And it's actually started to work on him. He'll just fucking tell me da. All right. What are we? Half an hour in, I've talked about hanging a GED and why I can't talk about everything going on in my life right now. I'm sure there's been a bunch of little things that I started to talk about and then went down another road, and there'd be a few people like, why didn't you ever go back to them? Like, because I forgot I started down that road. I changed path. I jaywalked over into another path in the woods and we'll never find that other one again. But I want you guys to know I'm doing okay. I've still got, all the same wonderful people in my life, and I'll catch you up on all the things that you missed. I'll let you know too. Oh, more coffee. Numbers. I'll let you know what my process is. I think I told you guys before, but I've actually started like making files. and using some other things to help out in order to remember what I was doing during these weeks that I've missed. Is I'm using my calendar. So I'll go to my calendar and I'll see what was actually happening during that week to spark memories. I'll go into my photos because because they're all time stamped, and a lot of them too, I've got my location services on, so I can see what photos I took that week, and then those photos will jog my memory. I actually found yesterday, while preparing for the episode, getting my notes ready, that the Cineplex app has all of my purchase history. So over the last few years that I've missed, I can actually tell you specifically which week I went to go see what movie. So even though while some of these movie reviews will be old, I'll still give you my thoughts on them. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. There's other things too, emails. So I can go into my emails and check, that date range and just see, what did I buy, who reached out, just again, things that would just jog my memory. So I think some of those retrospective episodes, I got to let them be what they are. If there's not a lot and I don't remember a lot, I don't think I'll be able to put an hour-long offering on all of them. But for what it's worth, I don't think it'll be me trying to remember what was I? There'll be enough stuff. I never delete pictures either. So I'll go through my library and see every picture I took that week, and I've got trips and all sorts of things that I did that were not covered in recordings and things like that. So I'm really excited to tell you guys about some of them. I've had some pretty big trips that just there's no episode about. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, just stay tuned. And again, as always, if there's something that you want to know, or maybe you're sitting there going, hey, what about that thing you started talking about earlier and you never finished? Send me an email, contact@onemanpodcast.com. Ask if I forgot to finish a thought or whatever. I'm more than happy to accept reminders. I've got the phone doing them for me all day long, setting reminders and things like that, just so that I don't forget what I'm doing more than 90% of the time. So yeah, that's what's going on now. I did have an opportunity. So let me burn through some of the stand-up stuff because I want to talk about my Black Friday purchases. I want you to know what I bought. There was the Absolute Comedy. I did the show on Saturday night downstairs. So they sell the show early enough in the week. Saturday 8 p.m. show, they'll do a second one simultaneously in the downstairs pub/showroom area. So, and when that happens, he needs an extra host because everybody else switches orders, but you still need a host to start it and finish it. So I did the downstairs show. On that show was Alex Wood, Ian Sirota, and Caesar Malcool. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, only because I can't remember how it's spelled. So I think it's Marcool. Yeah, it was fine. Downstairs shows usually are not fun, but this one actually did, the audience was fun. And it was one of those ones where instead of being like, oh, thank God my time is over and I get to get off stage, it was more like, oh shit, I would have liked to have stuck around and had more of an interaction with them. It was really funny. There was this one table that was definitely older, I would say 60s plus. And they were just fans of some sports team. So I was like, oh, how do you guys all know each other? They just start chanting the sports theme. I was, Jesus Christ. It was a lot. They just took over the whole room with their cheering. It was like, I let them have their time with it. The audience is all laughing at how ridiculous they are. And they all just unanimously, it wasn't like one of them started doing it and then slowly a couple others. And then the whole table was like, they all just right away, it was like firing pistol. Let's go Titans. Let's go. I'm like, wow, this is not that game. This is a comedy show, you fucking lunatics. So they were funny. There was a bunch of and it was so funny too, because at the end of the show, Alex was upstairs, so he missed it earlier, but Alex was closing the show downstairs. And when he went up and he's like, oh, how do you guys all know each other? And I'm just like, no. And even the crowd's like, no. And then they just started that fucking chanting again. And he's like, Jesus Christ. He's just like, oh, and he's like, I saw your faces, the rest of the audience's faces, right as I asked. And he was like, I think he said, it's like someone stepping into traffic with a bus about to hit them. And he's just like, no. Anyways, it was a fun show. It was a fun show. I, like I said, don't normally enjoy the downstairs shows, but I did enjoy this one. And I'll tell you guys about Mark's first time. So I won't give you his last name, but Mark is a good family friend. He's my brother's best friend, best man at his wedding. So good dude. We've known him ever since primary school, I think they call it, or, elementary school is what? I think elementary and primary are the same thing, right? Unless in the States they call primary school elementary school. And I'm going to use my new best work buddy friend, the old GPT, and ask it, what's the difference between primary and elementary school? What's the difference between primary and elementary school? Probably spelled it wrong too. Only because I can't fucking see the screen behind the mic. All right, I got that pulled down. In most places, primary school and elementary school mean almost the same thing, but the difference depends on the country. Canada and the United States. Elementary school is the standard term. Usually covers kindergarten to grade 5 or 6. So yeah, that is the time scope that I was looking for. Primary is sometimes used, but usually refers to the lower part of elementary. Primary is kindergarten to grade 3, junior 4 to 6, intermediate 7 to 8. So in North America, elementary, the whole school, primary, the early grades. Okay. Well, primary is correct because he was, ever since they were little. So, and Mark's the best. He's kind. He's nice. He's just a good motherfucker. So when Mark reached out to me, a month or so ago and was like, hey, my bucket list is me doing stand-up for the first time. We got to reconnect a little bit, have some nice chats. Probably more than a month ago, because I remember being outside on the bench smoking a cigar, having a big, long conversation with him about it. And it has been too cold to do that for quite some time. So it's something that he said he's been doing. But this last Monday was the date that he got at Absolute Comedy's Open Mic Mondays to do it for the first time. So Mark didn't want anyone he knew there, but I got in because I'm like, well, why don't you let me come watch and I can give you some notes afterwards? Because he didn't want to really go over his material beforehand. He kind of wanted to let it be his own, and I respect that. And I was like, if you want, I'll come and I'll watch, and then once it's over, I can give you some notes on what I think you can improve and some things like that. I was standing in the back of the room too when Mark went on, and I was just chatting with another comic, Todd Van Allen, who's great. Todd's been doing it for a long time. Great comic, great dude. And I just remember we were both like, after it's like just watching all the guys like doing it for the first time. It's just like, fuck, I don't even remember. Like it's nerve wracking. Like just looking at Mark, he was just so nervous and everything. It's just like, it's so funny because both TVA and I, TVA is what the whole industry calls him. TVA, Todd Van Allen. TVA and I are standing there, and it's just like, I don't even remember like the nervous feeling. You see it, how nervous he is, but it's like, I don't even remember. I remember being nervous. I don't remember like the feeling, right? Cause I get nervous now, but now it's more like, they're going to like my jokes, or is the fucking sound going to cut out at the worst possible time? Like it's more just like, I can't, and I would say this of any comic who's been doing it for long, I can't bomb the same way an open micer can bomb. Like there's just too much experience to have everything I say fall completely flat. So I can still bomb, but to me, a bomb is like only getting 20 to 30% of the audience on my side. You know what I mean? Like laughing, like that's a fail, right? If that was a test, 30% is a fail. So you still get laughs, right? Whereas like open micers, they'll get 20 to 30% of the room and hear the laughs and like, wow, like again, in a room of 200 people, 60 people laughing is going to sound like a lot, So they're like, oh, this feels great, right? And the room's built for sound. I'm making them laugh like I'm doing, right? When they get nothing, which does happen because they'll go out there and they'll just attack a group or something like that. It's almost like the bully jokes, it's like you're just making fun of somebody, and it's like, the other, like your cronies and your fucking, I don't know, your entourage will laugh, but it's sycophantic. So it's like, it's not really that it's funny. You know what I mean? It's just that, the bully's signaling to us that was the funny thing. So laugh. You just punch them in the balls. Ha 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 ha. I never got that either. Like you go up and you hit somebody like a friend in the balls, and then you laugh. You're like, are you laughing that they're hurt? Is that the funny thing? Right? Like, is the funny thing that like, haha, I got close enough to injure your vulnerable area? I'd be like, yeah, I trusted you. I don't get the funny part. If the goal is deception, it worked, and congratulations, full honors. But like when your buddy walks up to you and punches you in the balls, I don't get what the funny part is, right? Like there's all sorts of funny things, like tricking someone. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking I was evaluating it before I spoke. That thing where the guys, you do the little, hey, okay, index touching thumb with your three fingers up, okie dokie, hey, no problem. like that, but then you take that that same hand gesture and you put it below your belt and it's like, oh, you looked, I punch you. Like, all right, well that had a level of interaction on my part. It's like, did you convince me to do it? And that's still a stupid juvenile game, but it's still like, you convinced me, right? Like you tricked me, I got you, whatever. And you could stick your finger through and break it. And then you get to punch them once. There's still some level of participation, I guess. Even if it's unfucking solicited, it's still like, well, if I didn't look, I'm not getting hit. Right. Or I'm sure there's other examples of things like that. It's like, back in high school, you want to join the Pen 15 club? You're like, what's that? Oh, I got to write you write Pen 15. It's penis. Like, I wrote penis on your hand. Like there's still a level of participation or even like, there's no consent on the finger one. Anyways, my point is there's all sorts of dumb things that guys do that are at least mildly understandable. Like, haha, I tricked you, whatever it is, what do you call it? Spring snakes in a jar of peanut brittle, right? There's still participation. Hey, you want some peanut brittle? I tricked you, right? I don't get like, I walked up to you, I punched you in the balls. Ha 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 ha. I'm like, well, was the whole joke that my participation in this is that I trusted you to get up in my personal space thinking you wouldn't hurt me? And ha ha ha, I betrayed you. Like, I just never got hurting somebody. Like I got a few, like, it's weird because I'm definitely, my friends that know me, I'm wicked annoying. Like I'm definitely a pain in the ass button pusher, but I have my own code of ethics that I do adhere to. Like, for starters, I'm never going to hurt you. Like, me grabbing your nipple and pinching it, I don't get anything out of that. Hitting you in the balls, punching you in the arm, slapping you upside the head, like any physical, I guess, you know what it is? I don't like it. I don't like it. So I kind of live by the golden rule. I don't want people to do that shit to me, so I don't do it to them. I also, as much as I may say or whatever, say gross things, I would never send someone like a gross picture. Like, I would never send someone a picture, like, take a shit and then like, oh, look at it's gross. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the blue waffle stuff or two girls in one cup. Like, I don't want to see anything gross. So like, I may say something that's like, oh, gross, but it's like, but you built the thing in your head. I don't know. It seems odd, but I'm just like, you don't need a visual, right? Like, it's like the same with comedy, like doing again, it's not something that a lot of people should. It's like, but you're doing a rape joke conceptually versus sending someone a security camera footage of someone actually getting raped. You know what I mean? To me, I guess that's the closest thing that I can do to make why I don't think sending pictures of gross stuff is the same as just like, nebulizing, nebulously, generally just saying something that's kind of gross, gross concept. Oh, the monkey fucking a frog or something. And then, hey, here's the picture. You're like, no, I didn't need that. I got it through the words. Josh, you did a good enough job of painting a picture with your vernacular. So I don't know why this punch in the balls thing came up, but it did. So we're talking about Mark's fucking doing stand-up and I'm over here talking about monkeys fucking frogs. ADD is a motherfucker, you guys. It really is. Well, there you go. If somebody wants to send me an email, tell me why I got to the point where I was talking about hitting somebody in the balls. I know we were talking about Mark doing stand-up, being a friend since we were little, being scared, remembering what it feels like doing stand-up the first time, being nervous. We're talking about bombing, right? Like going up and being, 20 to 30%, but these other young pups, they can just do absolutely nothing. And still, was I talking about that kind of joke? Yeah, I was talking about bullying. Like, sometimes these guys will just go up and they'll just do like a bully thing that isn't really funny, like hitting someone in the balls. There we go. All right. And it came full circle. Tied up that fucking loose end. So yeah, just watching Mark, TV and I were in the back of the room. It was just like, I don't remember what it was like to be that nervous. I remember being terrified of like 6 minutes. Like, how much, I don't have enough. Like, how am I going to fill 6 whole minutes with jokes? Like, I don't know if I have enough. Now, and that same night, my buddy Dylan Parker, who runs the show, Dylan was like, he's like, yeah, man, if you want to do a spot, which was amazing. And I go, how much? He's like, 6 minutes. I'm doing the same amount of time as those guys. I'm up on stage. I barely started. And it's like, all right, I'm done. And that's what I was saying to TVA. It's like when you're new, you're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do with like 6 minutes? And then, you get to the point where you've been doing it a long time. You're like, what the fuck am I going to do what am I going to do with 6 minutes? 6 minutes is nothing. I'd be like, hey guys, how are you? All right, well, bye. You know, you learn how to tell a longer joke. You learn how to get into it. But no, I had a good time. And Mark is there's no way he's just going to do it once and done. I know he's very excited. I mean, I recorded it for him. And then, you know, after getting home, like 12:30 in the morning, I get a text message from him, you know, just like, oh my God, I said, 12:24 a.m. I'm looking at it right now. Fuck, I grunted like 3,000 times, you know? So he's clearly watching the video and already critiquing himself. Whereas I'm like, I can't stand watching my content. Like, I don't record myself because I'm like, I just don't watch it. I can't watch. Like, it's too gross for me to watch. I just don't like, I'm so overcritical of myself. So I'm like, I just can't watch it. And since I'm not watching it, there's no point in recording it. So until I get like someday maybe an assistant or something like that to go over it and tell me what give me some thoughts or just curate some highlights, be like, this is what you said. This is what seemed to work. You know, maybe I could upload it to ChatGPT and go, yeah, but it doesn't know what I'm looking for. It doesn't know stand up. It's not funny yet. Thank God. So yeah, I think Mark's going to do good. I did try to call him to see. Let's try one more time, gang. I'm going to try one more time to get Mark on the horn here and see if maybe he'd be willing to tell us, you know, what it was like doing stand up for the very first time. Let's see. It might not work. Ooh, is this thing even, I got to check and see if this thing's still, that's how long it's been since the podcast is. I don't even know if I actually have the thing connected. Okay, I got a button on here. Will this make you go into pairing mode? You get to hear my thoughts. There it is, BTA2 on the new phone, and it's connected. All right, now I'm going to try to call Mark because that wouldn't have worked. I would have just been like, why can't I hear anything? So let's get old Mark. You know, if nothing else, you get to hear his voicemail message. Let's see if I hear it. Oh, we hear it. So it's a ringing. It's a ringing. Come on, Mark. Do, I get to do this sound. Well, the phone is ringing. Come on, Mark. This is your big break, buddy. You get some...
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone,
it's funny because he actually used to have a thing where it was his own voice, and now it's different. So, well, I tried, you guys. I tried to get old Mark on. Maybe I'll get him on next week if I can. You know, I just sort of sprung it on him earlier. I tried to call him earlier and say, hey, but I didn't get a hold. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and try him again. I left him a text message saying like, hey, dude, I want to have you on. Oh, well, whatever. Sorry, that was a waste of your time. My bad, gang. Again, I'll try to have this stuff more lined up. It took a minute. Just for context too, when I opened up the recorder, because I haven't used it in forever, there was like battery corrosion on one of the things. So I had to like clean it off with lemon juice and vinegar to clean that up. Just the fucking podcast recorder has like been so long since it's been used. I don't know what causes the batteries to leak that way, because I don't think just being in a device for like a year would do it, but I could be wrong. Maybe if it's just not used for that long. So I'll have to Google that afterwards, just so I know to make a schedule for battery checks and stuff. But I'm imagining that I'll go through them faster now using this again, just to prevent, you know, that kind of stuff in the future. But I had to reprogram the time on the device. I had to format the card, and even plugging it in with all the wires and everything. It was like I couldn't remember where to plug the headphones in and stuff. It'd been that long since I used it. So it's not just the, you know, making notes and figuring what's what. There's a whole lot of remembering stuff. Even right as I was getting ready to start the episode, I remembered a bunch of stuff that I hadn't remembered, you know, for like an hour yesterday while I was making other notes. So, you know, it is what it is. I think, you know, I'm just gonna hit pause because I have to write something down. All right. There was like a little plug I wanted to do at the end of the show, or at least what's coming up in the next week. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that, was it Saturday? Did I go ahead and book myself for that on a Saturday like an idiot? ADD radio, no charge. Yeah, so I got to make sure that, God, I'm saying yes to too much. It's like, that's also my new like philosophy, right? Is when people are like, hey, you want to hang? I'm like, okay, let's try to make it work, because I had a colleague, and this will probably come up again, but I may as well say it while I'm thinking of it, is I've been so busy that one of my colleagues, one of the reps for another company, like our direct delivery company is theirs. So we often work together, like, hey, one of us is going to go visit a store. Like, you know, I'll plug your stuff. You know, if you're going, you plug my stuff. So we work together. Great dude. We talk every single day. Name's Steve. That's all I'll leave out there. A little shout out to Steve. And the amount of stuff that I'm doing. So he'd be chatting with me and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, this weekend I got to do this on Saturday. I got this event. And then, I'm going to go do this on Sunday, whatever. And then I'm back. And he's like, and I just like the amount of times like he would hear that I'm working like all week long. And I started at like 7 a.m. Then I ended at like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then I was working Saturday on top of it. He was just like, and he's a ball buster too, just like me. So we get along great. But at one point he's like, can I ask you something serious? And I was like, yeah. And he goes like, I don't mean to offend you or anything. I just have to ask, like, do you have like any friends? And I laughed and I was like, dude, I totally get why you're asking this. Yes. I go, yes, I have friends. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of amazing friends and people in my life. The problem is just that because when I got my gig, I got the day job, first day job I've had in a very long time, very good pay. I was picked over someone who had way more experience than me. So it was just like out of respect and gratitude, I was like, I'm going to work really hard at this job. I'm going to make sure that I hit all my targets. I'm going to make sure that I if there's an opportunity for me to do more, then I'll do it. And that sounds weird, like the try hard. What I mean is, like, I know the owners. I've met, like, they're two human beings that I talk with regularly, and they're good dudes. They've come to watch me do stand up. Like that's unreal. Like, they're great. They're super supportive. And it's odd because I'm like, I feel they're more like friends than employers. I still respect them and do what I'm asked, but I genuinely like them as people. I think they're funny. I think they're kind. I think they're passionate. And I really, really like them. And so the idea is, like, when they're paying a shitload of money to send me out of town to go and do, visits, right? Like if I'm going all the way to Sault Ste. Marie or Timmins, which if you're not from anywhere around here, Google it. Ottawa, Timmins, Ottawa, Sault Ste. Marie, like that's far, right? So I'm usually gone for at least a week at a time when I'm doing those areas because it just doesn't make sense to drive all the way home to drive all the way back. So I'll put in that time and I'll do it. And when I'm on the road and they're spending, $200 a night on a hotel for me, I'm going to make sure that I can get as many visits into that area as possible because it might be 6 months to a year before I'm back in that area. So I want to make sure that I'm being as productive as possible. So I'll get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'll start visiting the convenience stores in the area. You know what I mean? Until the LCBOs open up at 10, right? And I'll do convenience and I'll do grocery. Like I will visit as many places as possible, and I'll keep going until there's almost nothing left I can do. Maybe there's a few stores that, I just need to confirm that they brought something in since my last visit, right? Like I can walk into a convenience store at at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I'm not trying to speak to a manager. I'm just trying to see if my stuff's on the shelf. The last time I was in Timmins, and I might even mention this on that episode. So again, if you happen to listen to this and remember that I already told this, the first time ever, like I rocked up, I was working so late that by the time I got into Timmins, it was like midnight, I think. And I went into a Circle K. I had to get gas. So I went into a Circle K, I got my gas, I walked into the store and I'm like, well, while I'm here, I'm going to go look and see if our stuff's there. And it was just so funny because I'm looking at the alcohol fridge and the clerk yells at me. He's like, no, we can't sell after 11. I was like, what? He's like, no more alcohol. I'm like, I don't understand. There's alcohol right here. And he was trying to tell me like, no, it's after 11 o'clock. We're not allowed to sell alcohol again until tomorrow. But I'd never gotten that before because I'd never been doing a visit that late. But I was still like, I'm here. I may as well go inside and see if our stuff is there. And it was and everything. I was just like, it just caught me off guard because as soon as I was walking there, starting to look through the things, the guy's like, no alcohol. So I was like, I didn't get it at first. But so because I work that much, that's why Steve was like, dude, do you have any friends? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I want to make sure that I'm being as productive as possible so that, when those guys are spending money, because it's not like a giant corporation where I'm like, oh, does this just come out of the company pool? It's like, yeah, it does, but that company pool is two guys that I know. That's their money. So everything that they're spending on my travel costs and everything like that, like I want to get them the highest rate of return possible. So instead of just doing 10 visits in a day and being like, well, that's my daily quota, I've had days where I've done like 20, 25 to like, I don't know what my daily record is. I think I've had like 35 visits in some days where there was just a ton of little convenience and grocery nearby. And it's just like pop into each one, just either verify or whatever, just to make sure things are there, clean up the shelves, answer any questions that they might have, and then on to the next. But when you do from like 7 a.m. to like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, that's a 14-hour day. There's lots of opportunities. Some of these more rural areas, they have more, like they'll have 1 or 2 LCBOs, but then there's like 5 grocery stores and so many convenience stores. And a lot of the convenience stores are independent. The independent stores are very easy to get our stuff into because nobody visits them. And they make it very clear that nobody visits them because they're so far and remote or whatever. So I actually tend to get a lot done in there. And then you'll have this small town that maybe has 1 LCBO and 2 of our things. Meanwhile, the grocery store has 4 of them. You know what I mean? And now instead of like all those other companies where you've got your stuff in like, I'm not talking about the big Molson and Labatt and all that stuff, like, Budweiser and that shit's going to be everywhere. But your more Ontario craft, the smaller brands, not the teeny tiny. We're nationwide. We're in the States too, no flex. But we're big, but we're not, under an umbrella by some giant conglomerate owned thing, right? We are Founders Original and that's it. So it's great to be in like 9, 10 different stores in a town versus just having, what do you call it? An LCBO with 2 of your products, right? Maybe you're planogrammed on a couple of the LCBOs or the Circle K story in town with 1 product or tequila cocktail box. So again, it's just a matter of giving a shit, but that's bringing it back to the fact that like a lot of people are like, oh, do you have like a social life? I haven't really for a long time. So that's where this little note is, my buddies want to go do something on Saturday. I'll tell you guys at the end of the episode what it is, because it'll be a coming up this week kind of a portion of the show. But I'm really trying to make an effort that when people ask me if they, if I want to hang out, to try to make the time, because it is really easy to just get, bogged down with work. And then you just don't make time for the people. Like I'm looking at here, I'm just seeing, like I had a note about, how the week went. Right? Work visits, they went fine. Yes, they did. Our holiday offerings are in the LCBO. I just posted on Instagram, I'm going to be posting on Instagram. I did the editing of the photos, but I got to post them on Instagram of our holiday boxes and our seasonal offerings. So have a peek at that. They're available all over the place in Canada. There's only a couple provinces that don't have it, but everything Ontario westward has it. And and they're even in some of the States as well. But we've got our spiced apple bourbon sour, which is incredible. It tastes like an apple pie. If you haven't tried it, for the love of God, you got to try it. The salted caramel espresso martini, in my opinion, I would say, yeah, there's never a chance that it's going to be unbiased because I work for the company. But like, just it seems like unanimously everyone who tastes it says this is the best espresso martini on there out right now. And it's all real stuff. All of our products are all real top to bottom. So there's a salted caramel espresso martini. And then we have a spiced box that has the spiced apple bourbon sour and the spiced cranberry tequila margarita. The spiced cranberry tequila margarita is only in that holiday box. You can buy singles of the spiced apple, but in the box is spiced apple and spiced cranberry. Delicious. We have a holiday mug, like espresso mug kit that has 2 of the salted caramel espresso martinis, which are available also as singles. And then the spiced mocha espresso martini, which is only in that box with the mug. And then finally, we have a bourbon old fashioned smoking kit. So you get three old fashions in cans, like full ABV, 32%, everything like that. And then a kit with a glass, a smoker, the chips, all the stuff that you need to make a smoked old fashioned. All those are in the LCBO right now. There'll be a picture on Instagram showing you guys what they all look like. And again, if you're listening from other parts of the country, should be available out there too. As always, if you want me to try to find it for you, or if you're looking in an area that maybe east of Ontario or something, and you want to know if they have it, contact at onemanpodcast.com. I will try to find it for you. Again, just let me know. You're like, hey, I'd like to try those. I can't find them anywhere. Can you see if there's any available? Of course I can. I'll ask my people, hey, are we in X, Y, or Z? So yeah, there's that. I think I already sort of in the notes here that I shared with you guys is just about basically like why I can't talk about, more nitty gritty stuff. Like let's put this stuff. There's a lot of shit about the LCBO that gets me fired up and I'd love to get it off my chest, but it's just it's not strategically intelligent to trash anybody publicly. And I'm not to suggest that it really deserves to be trashed, but it's a lot more politics than one would think. And yeah. Let's just leave it at that. Example of a friend who I haven't talked to in a long time. I actually called Chris who's co-hosted many episodes of the podcast with me over the years. Haven't chatted with him in a long time. And I was doing some Black Friday purchasing, and some of the stuff that I had on my radar was stuff that Chris has. He's even talked about it on the podcast. He literally described the whole process of what I called space coffee, using an AeroPress and things like that. So I was thinking like, I'm gonna get a few things for Black Friday. I'm a sucker for a sale. So if something's on sale, let's see if I can save some money there. And I gave him a call. We had a big long chat, him and his lovely wife, Rebecca. And it was nice to connect with them because, again, I haven't connected with a lot of people as much as I'd like to. So it's really nice to be able to see my friends. Oh, there we go. All my stuff's delivered now. I'm going back to my Amazon list here to see what's delivered. I'm still waiting on one thing, it seems. One thing from my Amazonian coming on Thursday because I am out of town Wednesday. So we just crossed the hour mark on the timer here, which is probably with the intros and things like that. It's going to be around an hour and a bit, but I'm going to chat with you guys. I'll do it a bit of a speed round. Okay. I won't get into it too much. There's even some shows that I watched, but I might just push them back to a different episode, like one of the older ones. Cause I'm not even 100% sure that some of these shows I actually watched this week, except for one, but I'll talk about that one later on. So what did I buy? I bought something called a brick. And I'm not going to, it's tough. I'm in a tough way, guys, because I don't like to plug any products, especially if they're not like partners, just because everything has value, right? So if they get an influx of people coming to them, it's like, well, I'm like, I could have probably got a free product. If I'm going to send a bunch of people to a site, it would have been nice to get a free product. I don't want their money. I'm not out to pay a ton, but I'm like, fuck it. If I'm going to drive traffic for you, if I'm going to advocate for you, send me one. Give me one. I want one. Gimme. And then I'll put a link in the fucking notes that'll live there forever. So I don't know if I said the name or not, but if I did, all right. If I didn't, it's a product that is like a little square. It's magnetic, so you can like stick it on the fridge. It sits about maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch high. And then I think it's like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches or 2 by 2, whatever it is. Not very big. But the idea with this thing is there's an app that you download. There's no subscription. There's no monthly fees, nothing like that. Just you buy this product once. I think they cost me $80. And then if I bought 2 of them, they were like $70 each. So I think I'm just going to try to sell the second one to a friend or family member, somebody who could make use of it. But the idea with this thing is you go into the app and you tell it all the different apps that you find to be distracting. Just all the different apps that you want to block over the course of the day. And a lot of people are like, oh, like Apple's screen time stuff. It's like, yeah, but when you do the screen time thing, you can literally just go in and then go, yeah, forget it. Like, shut up, like extend or whatever it is. It's like you can just hit the snooze button right away. And it doesn't really prevent you. Right. So what this thing does is you can set a bunch of different like modes. So one of them, I'll give you an example. Like for me, some days, like I'll be really ambitious. I'll be like, I'm getting up at 6 o'clock this morning, even though I don't have to hit the road until like 9:30. I'm like, I'm going to get up at 6 because I want to, get up. I want to do a little bit of, catch up work before I start. Right. And honestly, going forward, be more like, I want to get up early and record the podcast before I have to get my day started. Things like that, where it's like, I've got something I need to do. I want to get ahead of it because I know that I'm the most productive first thing in the morning. But what happens is like, I'll wake up, grab my phone and, I see the email notifications, I see social media notifications, and I'll, I'm not a morning person. So I'm like, I get up and I'm like, okay, well, if I look at all this stuff first, and then I'm like, before I know it, I'm buying something because like there was a deal that was emailed to me, or not buying per se, but like shopping, right? Because there's lots of times where I'm like, I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, I'm really interested. And I'm like, oh, well, hold on. Is it any good? YouTube, such and such product review, watch 2 or 3 videos. Basically people trash it. And I'm like, okay, answer some emails, oh, what are my social media notifications before I know it? I'm scrolling and I'm like, it's 7:30. I'm still in bed. Like I've been up for an hour and a half and all I've done is fucking stay on the phone and scroll. I know it's not exclusive to me. A lot of people do that. A lot of people have that issue. So I have like a mode that I've set for it. I've only had it for a little, a week, but I've set a bedtime mode on it. Okay. I still haven't described how this thing works. I just said that you can block apps, but there's a bedtime mode where I take like emails, Amazon, games, social media, like anything that I'll wake up to distractions. And that's like the overnight mode. So what you do is you tap on the app And it just brings up, it's like, what mode do you want to set? And then you tap your phone on this little square thing. And what it does is it enables it. And then when you click on Facebook or anything like that, it'll say this app is a distraction. If you want to, unlock it, go back and tap the thing. It says something different because it says its own name, and so, I can go right before bed. I can tap my phone on it and I won't get any email messages. Like I also get phone calls and stuff. It's not like it blocks everything. It blocks only the things that you tell it to block. But what's nice is it doesn't just block you from being able to open them. It blocks the notifications and everything like that, so that when I wake up, I'm not going to see a ton of shit that, is going to immediately make me click on it to get distracted, start scrolling, whatever. I kind of have to get up, shake the cobwebs off, and I have to tap the app or the phone back on this thing. So it's super, super cool. And then I have another one for work. Not that social media really distracts me over the course of the day. Like I don't find myself on my phone scrolling. Maybe for like a minute, like, oh, a notification, click on it. What's that? Oh, it's okay. And that thing I posted earlier today, did anyone like it? I'm like, okay, yeah, it's all right. And then back to whatever. So now I'm going to block during the day, just like the social media stuff. Can't even block YouTube. I actually use it in my demonstrations. I'll show videos of one of our owners doing a bunch of flair and mixing cocktails. So, I can't block my emails or anything like that either during the day, but that's just a different mode. So you have like the leaving the house mode. And then of course, when you come home, you tap the phone on that and it just unlocks everything again. So I've got two modes right now. I've got workday, and then I have like the nighttime where it's just like, don't lay in bed and play games. Like I even disabled all the stupid little match 3 games and stuff for bedtime mode, because it's like, I do not want to be playing games in bed, because I've done it before. I'll sit there and literally play match 3 games for like an hour and a half before falling asleep. And it's like, if I didn't have that, I would be forced to just lay down and go to sleep. I put the TV on in the background anyways, but I find that very easy to fall asleep to. I'm not constantly engaging with it. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I bought for Black Friday. I like it. I also bought an AeroPress. This is where it gets back to the coffee part. Is I have my Nespresso machines and I'm very happy with them, but it just sucks because every now and again it's like I'll see a coffee and I'm like, I really like to have that, but it's beans. I don't have a drip machine. I only have the Nespresso stuff, and my counter doesn't really have room for, coffee maker. Like Lord knows I bring it out every day. So it's not like I'd wrap it up, put it away, put it back out. There's just nowhere to put it. And I do know that if I brewed an entire pot, like I'd brew an entire pot of coffee, I wouldn't make one or 2 cups. I'd brew a whole pot. I'd either drink way too much coffee or I'd be throwing shit out all the time, and I don't want to waste. So I know that I've been toying with the idea of different things. And I was like, you know what, that AeroPress thing that Chris had would work well. So I jumped online, I looked around, and I got one. Again, naming them, but at this point I already own it. So it's not like they're going to send me a free one, but hey, who knows? Maybe I'll reach out to them some point. I got myself the AeroPress Premium. So instead of being made with plastic, it's made with, glass and metal. Just looks nicer, looks a little bit more premium. I bought myself a burr grinder. So an Italian burr grinder that has, basically it's just a coffee grinder that isn't electric. So it's not risking like cooking the beans further, because the electric ones that spin so fast start to heat up. So I bought myself one of those. I bought myself a gooseneck kettle. Just when you're doing pour overs, it's just a little bit nicer to have a gooseneck kettle because you can control the flow from your kettle instead of like just the average one where it just starts pouring out like crazy. I got a small coffee scale. As much as I have kitchen scales, apparently the coffee one's just a little bit more specific and good for that. So the new method of brewing the coffee, once I go out and buy some actual beans, is essentially, it's like you weigh out exactly how many grams, weigh out exactly how much water to make like kind of like the perfect cup of coffee. And then the gooseneck kettle just makes it a little bit easier to control the pour so that you're not just, showering your beans and whatever. And this thing kind of does like a single cup coffee. It's a press, but it's an air press. It uses air, so it forces more out of it. You don't really get the grinds. And then, the gooseneck kettle, I bought a Time More basic mini coffee scale. Paid too much for it, but it was on sale. So I'm just like, all right, I'm going to fucking do it. With Chris's suggestion. Okay, so I also bought 2 little metal screens for the AeroPress. So it's like little rinsable filters as opposed to using the paper one. So it did come with, come on, brain, paper ones. Paper filters, but anything that's disposable, I was like, well, fuck it. And I bought 2 of these metal filters because 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So if I lose one, I'll have a second. Not that I anticipate losing it, but it's just a tiny little metal screen, like the circumference of a tennis ball. It's not very big. Maybe probably smaller. So anyways, got that. So I think that's all the stuff. Oh, and finally I got these Airscape stainless steel coffee canisters. I wonder if I lose my mind and I buy some small ones right now, because so the Airscape, I thought originally Chris had said Air Escape, because I asked him, I go, well, how do you store your coffee? And he said, I use these Airscape things. I'm like, oh, Air Escape? It's like, no, Airscape. They're, just a container that has like I guess a patented handle that pushes down the air. Why is the little guy more expensive? Sorry, I'm just looking at new Airscape ones here because I'm crazy. Is the Black Friday sale over on the Airscapes, you guys? I want your Airscapes. I want your little ones. Yeah, it's like a handle that you lift up. It has like a little sort of like, it releases the air. You press down on it, basically just pressing it down into the container to where the beans are. Turn the handle, and then you can put the lid on, and essentially it just keeps everything fresh longer. Bought 2 of those, but I bought like the ones that will hold about 1 pound of coffee beans, and then I subscribed to a coffee, like a monthly coffee subscription place that'll send me fresh beans from a single origin, whatever. Again, I originally was going to name them, but I think I could reach out to them and say, hey, look, just give me the subscription for free every month, and I'll fucking put a thing on there. I'm really good at that stuff, guys. I'm really good at saying things. I'll put a link on, and then that way people can, try the stuff out if I like it, right? So I'm going to see, I'll do it for a couple months, see if I like it, and then I'll just say, hey, love to promote it. Give me a link for my people, and then send me stuff for free every month. Waka waka. I am still on this. Ooh, that's the ceramic ones. I don't want those. Shop all Airscape. So looks like they're still on sale. So the reason I brought up the coffee subscription thing is the coffee subscription sends you 2 300 gram bags. So like a third of a pound. Is that even math? I don't know. It's smaller. So I've got these 2, Airscapes that are designed for a pound of coffee. And then I've got these, the subscription where the fresh coffee I'm going to get every month isn't going to take up anywhere near as much space. So part of me is like, oh my God, I'm such a fucking slut for a savings. Like I'm looking right now. Okay. So the ones that I bought, I really paid $35 for it. That feels like a good deal. Yeah. So it's $50 for one of these containers, but right now for Black Friday, it's $34.30. So it's, $15 off. That ain't peanuts. So I bought 2 of them. I bought this really nice brushed copper one, and I bought a black one. But those are the full whatever. And was there a reason? Yeah. The black one is going to be for dark roast, and then the copper one is going to be for the medium to lighter roasts. That's right. I'm cray for organization and things like that. But it looks like they have a silver one. They got a blue one, a red one, white and yellow. I feel like, because the other ones are sort of shiny. This is so stupid. Now I'm like, do I get 2 little ones for these little bags of coffee? Like the obvious answer is yes, right? It's got to be. It's got to be yes. So, okay, there's a 4-inch one? What does the 4-inch one cover? Okay, I'm reading here. I already said their name, Airscape. So, okay. I should have done this on my own, but I'm just sitting there going, well, I need smaller ones, but then they're not going to be on sale soon. So these ones here, there's no way that the 4-inch one, the medium Airscape. Okay, hold on. A perfect size for a kitchen. Medium Airscape canister holds approximately 1 pound, 500 grams. Okay, so then 300 grams is more than half a pound. It should fit, right? That's if I had the half-sized one, it would be more than that. I think, yeah, it'll just be mostly empty, the space. Okay, I can live with that. But I think I should still get a little one. I mean, what happens when I use too much of it? I'm also going to want to be able to go buy a full pound bag from, okay, so hold on. The medium, 1 pound, 500 grams. See more product details. Okay, yes, going down even further. Scroll. This isn't what you guys signed up for. If you're still here, thank you so much. Okay, we got the little one here, small, 32 fluid ounces. I don't like ounces because that doesn't really tell me, and I don't know ounces. I don't know ounces, you guys. Help me. Okay. I'm just going to have to go back. You know, I'm just going to hit pause so that you don't have to listen to me shop. I should have thought of that a minute ago. My apologies. I'll tell you guys which ones end up in my basket and checked out as soon as I hit play. We'll figure out. Man, that was a rabbit hole. So I was dicking around. Like I wanted the stainless steel one. And it's been, by the way, a minute since I've been hit pause. Like I think it's been like maybe half an hour. A couple of phone calls, a couple of emails, distractions too. So I poked around on what Amazon had for the Airscapes, and they only had I guess like in the smaller size that I wanted, they only had like a white one that I wanted. There's a stainless steel, which I really would have liked, but everything else just looked kind of eh. And considering the other ones I had was like a nice gloss black and a nice brushed copper, the stainless steel one was the one that would have really tied the room together. You know, the big problem too on Amazon, it kept scrambling my brains, is that despite the fact that it was categorized as the medium, I swear to God, if this is the half, oh, you motherfuckers. It's right here now. It's right here. The small version of the stainless steel one. Now, why is this 43 when all the rest of them were 30? It says it's the small one. I can see the fucking picture. Why weren't you with all of your brothers and sisters? You're the one I want. You're the one that I want. Who? Do I want to pay $13 more just because it's the color? Yeah. Yes. I thought I was done, guys. I literally thought I was done. I'm like, okay, good. I get back to the computer. I can hit go. Oh, fuck's sakes. The struggle is real. It's 50. I was getting them for 35. So I was like, yeah, $15 off. This one's only $7 off, but it's the color I want. So tell me, contact the onemanpodcast.com. Would you buy another one? So now I'll have, yeah, but it says it only holds 250 grams, right? Because it's half the size. And I'm going to get these 300 gram bags. Now 50 grams is like the first couple of days, right? So as long as I, put a little bit aside, leave a little bit in the bag. I have no idea. This is all very, very, very... Okay, there's a picture of it here too. Can I just suggest that you guys actually look into this crazy thing that I've already got two here and they seem pretty cool. Yeah, they don't show me the goods. Rubber bottom, stainless steel container. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna, oh my God, I'm gonna pull the trigger and I'm gonna hate my life. It's Amazon. I can send it back. Proceed to checkout. Fucking more expensive stuff. Yeah, place your order. Clearly I'm not done. So... All right. The Airscape keeps the coffee, especially since I'm getting a coffee subscription, fresh, right? I've been watching this channel lately, this guy named James Hoffman, and he's like the coffee dude. I think his videos are very accessible. They tell you a lot about coffee. So that's what I was saying earlier when I'm like, this episode's going to have a lot to do with coffee. I spent a reasonable amount on coffee stuff. I guess I'll talk about this on the last episode. I picked up just a couple things for my dad. I picked him up a mouse and keyboard and a wall mount for his new monitor because he got some Black Friday stuff too. But, wall mounting monitors, he doesn't have a desk right now. So just a little spot where he can put his mouse and keyboard to be able to connect to my old Mac Mini. That'll just make his life a little bit easier. I also got a few more desk accessories myself. I got myself a little Trond, TROND. That's a power bar company that I like to buy stuff from. So they've got a lot of different options for stuff that's super small, compact, and just good quality. I use Anker for like almost all of my power banks. So if it's like portable power or charging cables, I go Anker. And I go Trond for all of like my power bars and stuff like that because they got good prices, good reviews, and they're like a legit company. I hate like going online and it's like, oh, Yoko 12367934446, cord. I'm like, yeah. Then you click on it, you're like, it's just a fucking drop shipper. I like buying from the people who make the thing, right? So I buy Anker, I buy Trond. There's some cool other things. I bought a D-brand grip case for my iPhone 17 Pro Max. Excuse me. They're not giving me anything for free, but D-brand makes some cool stuff. I got the kill switch for my Switch 2 from them. I bought another couple of O-Snap, like pop sockets, but they're way different. They're way thinner. They're lightweight. They're magnetic. So I use that to clip my phone into the car and things like that. I can't say enough good things about them, except for the fact that as of late, they've been sold out of all the shit that I want. So finally got the stuff that finally ordered the stuff that I want, and hoping that, just that, sorry, text messages come in, brain fog. Yeah. I can't wait for them to arrive. Was waiting for them to ship. Like everything else seems to be moving pretty quick, whereas the O-Snap stuff doesn't. But I need to get a car mount for my mom's vehicle so she can snap her phone at the place. I got her like a lilac, so it matches her phone case, O-Snap. Got a black one for my dad so that they'll be able to just interchange their phones. It's just cool. Like these are some brands, guys. Like I would just say speed round, like poke around through these. I also bought a couple, like, okay. I've also bought new CPAP stuff because I got sleep apnea. So $300 on medical stuff, tubes and masks and things like that. Just as is the nature of having to, did I already buy it? Yes, I did. I'm like, maybe it's not too late for me to, I had too many things coming. I also just bought some Navy t-shirts. I never really buy anything online for t-shirts, but I've just noticed that I usually buy my shit at Costco, and Costco seems to be always white, black, gray. And I needed some Navy t-shirts just to go under some of my Navy shirts, just how I do. And then I bought some washer agitators and balls. So I don't remember how it came about, but like I used to use like Bounty sheets, and then they have those things where you can stick the Bounty, bars in your dryer, and it's supposed to help with fabric softening and static cling or whatever. And then someone was like, "Oh, you should get the balls because the balls, like they'll basically get rid of the static cling and stuff like that." And they're not using chemicals, because apparently bounce sheets and all that kind of stuff is actually quite bad for your dryer. I don't know what it does, but again, someone wouldn't just go, "Oh, it's bad for it." And I go, "Oh, really? Okay." Like I'd vet it and find out why it's bad. So I got these like dryer balls, and like my folks like, "Here, we got you some." And it was like pinks and purples. And I don't know why it shouldn't fucking matter, but I'm like, I don't think I need a ton of these. I'll just take 2. I don't know if 2 is enough to do the job. So I bought 4 more. I've been using those 2 balls forever, and I'm like, I don't really have an issue with static cling, but I'm like, fuck it. They're not expensive, like $10 for 4. So I bought 4 more. And then I bought these agitators from a company that does like cloth diapers, that these ones are actually supposed to go into the wash and then you move them into the dryer as well. I think I'll just save these for the wash and keep the bigger balls for the dryer. But the other ones, you're supposed to put it in the wash. And I guess the idea is that they bounce around in the wash and actually help knock dirt and stuff out of your clothes and things like that, and help the water get into everything. So, who knows? But I bought them. I'll try them. They look kind of wonky. They're not just like a ball with spikes. It's actually they all look almost like fucking particles, where some, like there's several large humps that come out of them and then a bunch of little ones. But it says agitators bump and pound into fabric, forcing stains and soil to the surface in the washer. All right. So it's not like my shit's covered in horrific stuff. Again, this is from a company that this was originally designed for like cloth diapers. So stains and soil is caca, right? It's like, tired of trying to get that fucking baby food. So we'll see, I got those. They were on sale. So speed round takeaway from my insane amount of Black Friday purchases is I go AeroPress. All right. For your, for if you want to make like, basically it's like a French press, but it uses air. So it's apparently a lot better at extracting the coffee, because it forces the air and the water through it. Whereas a French press, it kind of lets the grounds through and whatnot. And this thing, the way it works is it sits on top of the cup and you press down and it forces all of the coffee through the filter right into your cup. So it's kind of like one of those pour overs that sits on top of your cup and you pour it and let it drip down, except this one's using force of air through it apparently. And it was originally patented or something like that, but it's just a premium cup of coffee. I've had it from Chris's place. So you're just going to get a better perk, I guess, a better extraction from your coffee using an AeroPress. I bought a burr grinder also from AeroPress, gooseneck kettle from Cosori. So again, gooseneck is just if you're trying to be more delicate with your water, having more deliberate pouring, so just fucking fast pouring something out of the spout of a kettle, it just gives you a little bit more control of the pour. Not necessary. I got the scale from Time something or other. Sorry, I'm not back on my orders page. Again, this is just if you want to like up your Time more. The basic mini coffee scale I got my Airscape containers, now added 2 more since this fucking discussion began. So, and then of course, if you want some really cool like just accessories you didn't know you needed, but you should definitely look at. Go to dbrand, the letter D, B-R-A-N-D, dbrand, and take a look at some of the cases they have for phones and consoles and all sorts of different stuff. They also have like all these different skins that you can get for all sorts of different products. So just if you want to be able to customize your stuff a little bit, dbrand's pretty cool with that. OSnap, they have like a pop socket, and these things are so thin they don't even stick out of the back of your phone more than the camera protrudes. So, all those people are like, well, I like the idea of a pop socket, but it sticks way out and catches on my pocket. I've had an OSnap for almost 2 years and it's never snagged in my pocket. I didn't like pop sockets at all. I didn't like how they stuck out so much. Never used one, but these things are so thin that they don't stick out, and they're magnetic. So they actually convert into a stand or whatever like that. So it can go on the back of any case that you already have. So there's a lot of people who have cases where it's like there's a little kickstand built into it or whatever, but you got to use that case. Whereas this thing will just come off of one case and go on to another. And it creates a very strong magnetic pull. So this OSnap allows me to, stick my phone to the fridge, stick my phone to the hood fan. So when I'm cooking, I can just watch shit on that. I actually have a microwave above it too. I stick it to the microwave and I can watch stuff while I'm cooking. And it clamps right nice to the phone mount that they have for the car, where you just snap it on and it's there, right? No fiddling with, arms that are holding on the side or anything like that. Just right on it. And I've used the MagSafe, other stuff that's like MagSafe where it connects and you're like, yeah, it's there, but you go over a bump and your phone will fall. This thing has never fallen, nothing. So I would just say, check out OSnap. And then of course, if you're just somebody who was like, I could use a little bit more plugs or something like that around, power bars can be a little cumbersome, where you're just like, I don't need a whole friggin' power bar. I'd love to have like 2 or 3 more plugs here. And it'd be nice to have like a USB charger here or something like that. Well, that's exactly where the Tron family of things come in. Is just, there's so many different little makes and models. They've got tiny, super little flat things that you can screw into the wall. So that's perfect. Because for me, I have a unit in front of my couch underneath my television. And it's one of those IKEA units with all the 8 drawers and everything, 8 holes, and I put drawers in all of them. That thing's all full. Getting behind it to the plug is a nightmare. So I've got about a 2-foot space between the top of that and the bottom of the TV. And right in the smack dab in the middle, I've got my Tron power bar screwed to the wall. So, PlayStation, Nintendo, Apple TV, the speaker, the subwoofer, like all the things are able to plug into that. And it has like USB-C stuff, whatever. So all sorts of different accessories that I have, the charge controllers and headsets and things like that, they're all plugged into that. And it doesn't look like a giant mess, but it's easily accessible. If I need to unplug something or change something or whatever it is, I'm not pulling out everything and getting down behind trying to fuck with a power bar that's on the floor. It just makes it nice and easy. And they also have these tiny little, maybe let's say 3-inch, maybe 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch wall mountable like squares that have plugs all around the outside and on the center, different things. I've got those, and I've got one of those in my bedroom, and it's screwed up behind the television where nobody can see. So from the floor all the way up to my floating television, because there's no room for a unit underneath, it's literally just the TV on the wall. I've got one cord that goes from the power underneath all the way up. I put one of those nice little like tracks on it, so it kind of covers the fact that there's just a cord dangling. It's still white and it still sticks up from the wall, but it looks intentional. It looks uniform. And then that cord is the power cord. So it goes up, it's screwed on the wall behind the TV. And then the Apple TV is screwed on the wall behind the TV. It's plugged into the power. The TV's plugged into the power. The soundbar's plugged into the power. All the things, connections to each other, are all plugged in and wired behind the television where no one can see it. So it just keeps everything clean. But again, you don't need 17 plugs behind the television, but something that has like, 4 or 6 in a very compact little space, make it nice and easy to organize, electronic stuff like that. I'm really going hard on this thing, but I just want you guys to know that there's some really cool options for things where you might go, oh shit, I never considered something like that could go here. And I've got so many different things on the go and so many different systems built. Everyone's like, you should design this for other people. I'm like, it's not fun. It's not like, yay, cords and straps and all this stuff. It's just, I want something to look nice, but I also need it to be functional and easy. So if you're in the same boat where you're like, man, I got too many cords, like the last thing I'll say on the subject is all throughout my condo, I don't have any cords on the floor, like zero. I plug them in and then I have them strapped up like above the baseboards. And there's not a lot of them. The only one that goes around the entire unit is my Ethernet cable for my computer, because the fucking only wall Ethernet port is in the bedroom for some reason. So that comes out, it goes up to the router or the hub. Is it router? There's routers and then there's modems. It goes to the modem or the splitter box, whatever the fuck it is. I'm not a tech guy. It's in that same area under the TV with everything, right? So it goes to the hub. That one cord goes to the hub, and then one goes to the PlayStation, one goes to the Apple TV, one goes to the whatever, the Nintendo, and then one goes around the entire room all the way to the other area where my office is. So, but everything, it's all strapped on the baseboards. All my power bars are either mounted to the, underneath of a desk or up on the wall, above the baseboards. Because the whole idea is like when you're vacuuming and stuff, when you have 57 cords, it's a giant nightmare, and it's a really great way for dust to build up. So I can dust the stuff easier when it's up on the wall. I can just literally just dust the power bar, and I can just go around with the vacuum and everything like that, vacuum the floors, because there's nothing, no cords, no nothing in the way of the floor. And all of that is to say that Tron is just one of those companies where, the different options for solutions are there. And if it's like, oh, this will actually make all that other stuff like a lot easier, I can just put this here, and then, I'm not running cords all over the place to try to get something. Again, so I'm sorry for being so long-winded, guys. It's been a hot minute, and I'm starting to wake up. The coffee's doing its job, and now it's all of the inundation of, is inundation a word? Being inundated with all of the different messages and things that I have to do. I do have to get my day started. So you guys are rock stars. I appreciate you being there. That's my goofy Black Friday stuff. I'm shaking the cobwebs off. All right. I'm rusty. I'm trying to get back into her. But I think the last thing I'll tell you guys is I just something I watched. I threw it on, I think Sunday or Saturday while I was doing stuff. And I was surprised at how much I liked it, because I was looking for something that would just be on in the background that I wouldn't really give a shit about. And I just found that they did a kind of a fun job with it. So there's a show on Disney Plus called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And it's an animated show, but they kind of did it where it's got like the classic comic book look to it. But it was fun because they had a ton of characters in it. They had a ton of like superheroes and supervillains that you wouldn't normally expect to see. They're short episodes. It's like under half an hour each episode. There's only 10. There's only one season. It has been renewed for a second season, because you can see there's a new season coming in 2026, it says. But if you just like Spider-Man, it's just a fun Spider-Man show. Nothing. It doesn't try to take itself too seriously. It also isn't too hokey. It definitely has the vibe of the original Spider-Man. Like I say, you get more of an idea that he's always felt like a university student to me. Like, as much as it's like, oh, your average high school guy. I'm like, they always seem too old. The actors always sound too old. The animation always makes them seem too old. Like the first Spider-Man looked like he worked in a bank, big glasses, sweater vest over button-ups. He didn't look like a 15-year-old, which is what I believe he's supposed to be. So this one does get closer. I would say he feels more like a senior at a high school than a junior, but either way, it's a fun show. So if you are just looking for something to shut your brain off and just maybe enjoy, if you have Disney Plus, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was a good one. It was enjoyable. There we go. We kept that brief. All right. Wrapping this motherfucker up. I just want to plug the Founders Original Holiday Boxes. Like I said, there'll be pictures of them on Instagram. If it's something that you're interested, check them out. There's the Spice Box, the Espresso Martini Mug Set, and the Smoked Kit. Not to mention just the fact that get your ass into an LCBO or store or somewhere that has the Spiced Apple Bourbon Sour and the Salted Caramel Espresso Martini as their singles. They're delicious. They're like you will actually be shocked at how delicious they are. I've given some out to some people here and there just randomly, like the what do you call it? The admin, the building management people here where I live, just being nice. I noticed a bunch of them in the office. So I went down, I brought like three or four of each, left them. So you guys pick and choose, or you can take some here, whatever you want, but just give it a try. And one of the building managers the other day, I popped in to grab an Amazon box out of the front, because I noticed that they had left it outside of the little machine that locks them up for us. So I just ran in to grab it. And as I went back out to the car with it, he came running out. He's Josh. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, just want to let you know, like, I tried that bourbon sour. And he's like, holy shit, it was so good. It's like apple pie, like da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, dude, I love it. I'm so good. And it was raining, and it was kind of like slushy. It had been snowing earlier. Like, so came out like all the way outside just to say like, hey man, like, I really, really like that. I really, thanks for giving that to us. And then I was like, yeah, no problem. So, get it. If you guys want to try something good, get that. Get the Salted Caramel Espresso Martini. Coming up this week, I got to go to Kingston on Wednesday. There's a brand new LCBO store opening, and I'm going to do a bunch of visits to the store while I'm there. So I'm going to be on the road all day Wednesday, the day that this releases, of course. So yeah, I'm going to be I'm going to use my little thing that blocks my apps so that I can't be dicking around with social media until I get all the way home to Ottawa. So Kingston will be a fun day on Wednesday. I'm doing a private show at some sort of like boathouse thing, National Capital Commission boathouse, whatever, on Saturday. So I hope I have a good time there. I'll be telling you guys about that next week. And then for the first time in years, I'm going to go with Jimmy and Mika to, and of course the families, to go cut down Christmas trees. I will not be getting one, but it's one of those things where like every year I'll see photos on social media of like those two families like out, it's a thing for the kids, obviously, going out and cutting down, trees for Christmas. And I've mentioned to them in years past, like, hey, like, I don't mind going with you guys. Like, I get it. It's for the kids and it's kind of like two families or whatever. I'm like, but it's still just an opportunity to hang out with you guys, be outside. So out of the blue, Mika reached out, was like, hey, we're going to go on Sunday, I think it was. I got to double check. I left the text message unread because that is one of my strategies now to make sure I do not forget. So yeah, Sunday morning, you came up with the breeze. Sunday morning. Good. Sunday morning works for me because I have the show Saturday night and I wouldn't want to be out in the cold all fucking day long and then having to be like, oh guys, I got to go, we're doing this too late. I got a show tonight. So it's great. I get to do that Sunday and no stress. Yeah, it'll be fun. See my boys on Sunday, going to Kingston Wednesday, doing a show on Saturday, and then the rest of the time just dinking around being a rep. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think for a week, I haven't been to Kingston in a hot minute, so I get to just go to a couple of my favorite little Kingston spots. Appreciate you guys. As always, contact at onemanpodcast.com. You send me an email. I will read it on the episode. I hope you guys have the best week ever, that things are going well with you. Appreciate you listening, and I will chat with you again soon.